What is good, Counter-Strike fans? Welcome back to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today, we're talking about playoffs for PGL Cluj-Napoca 2026. The group stage went as expected, in my opinion. There was not any surprise teams that made it into the playoffs. A lot of good matchups. I think G2 probably got screwed because of their seeding. They played a lot of the top teams, a lot of teams actually that made it into the playoffs. Um, we saw teams that were kind of close, like Foot almost made it. Astralis had a chance to make it, but you know, teams that basically I believed in, except for Navi, I didn't have much belief in them in the last video, but they made it. Um, but yeah, enough about that. Let's talk about how I did in the group stage. And this was my group stage team. So again, just to recap, double Falcons. I thought they were gonna do well. They did 3-0. Kyosuke, a monster, gave me 150 points. All those padding points from doing quite well from 3-0 helped out there. Tessis did fine enough for his prize. I think he underperformed, honestly. I think I should have gone someone else cheaper, that had a little bit higher upside. I just don't know. I think with Tessis, I'm kind of done with him, unless he's like under 190k. Just because I guess he struggles on CT size. He doesn't have a lot of good positions, and then on T size, he seems to be kind of dying through like either to smokes or because he's the second entry or whatever the case might be. He just kind of been struggling a lot. I just don't have high expectations from him as a player. Um, but then decided to go double Aurora. They also made it into the playoffs. They made it a different way though. They had to play into the 3-2 game. They beat Astralis actually. There, Santaris and Woxit did really strong. I think Santaris did solid enough for his price, and meanwhile Woxit as well. I think he overperformed. Definitely did not expect this Woxit pop off, but happy that he did. And then the elephant in the room, being this Danish player from Astralis, Javi, minus 26 points. Something I should have noted in the last video as well. His game log was basically split into two categories. He either had really high maps with like 2.0 rating maps, basically, or he had really low lows with like 0.5 rating maps in there. And over a series, usually that will average it out to a really strong rating because he would have one really strong map and then one really weak map, and then he would probably have like a mid, like one rating map somewhere along those lines, and that would average out in general in his stats, I guess. But for this event, he had too many bad series and didn't have strong when they did win or when he had the strong game. It wasn't strong enough for him to basically claw back the negative points that he got. But even after all that, we still got top 8%, 15 point source, our spring season standing. So I'm pretty happy about in general, especially with this big negative here. How we're doing for the fantasy. Again, the fantasy league is available in the description down below. Make sure to join if you are interested. If we hit 20 people, I will do a Steam gift card giveaway to the winner of the league. But the league, currently Donk not number one, is still in first place. He's a big Saiwu fan. With 68 points, we have Hunter 716 from Hungary with 55 points, and then I bounced back up into the ratings with 55 points as well. So definitely a lot to still play for. Make sure to join if you're still interested. Hungry Husky as well, doing quite well. Yeah, make sure to join even if you're not doing that great or you're not interested. Like if you joined once, you're basically in the league for a long time. And if you do decide to do a giveaway for the fall season, for example, you'll be part of that as well. So even if you haven't started so strong, we still have a lot of time to go. But If you're looking forward into fall as well, joining now will give you a placement or I guess a reservation in the league for that as well. Overall, 772 with 55 points. We're still in play for top 10. It's still too early there. So, yeah, looking to, hopefully get up here, be in top 10 one day. But enough talking about placements and all this boring stuff. Let's talk about the playoffs and how the fantasy for the event is basically based off. So again, the playoffs will be a 8-team playoffs with quarterfinals, semifinals, and a grand final, and a third place decider match, which is confirmed that will be part of the fantasy. So make sure to take that into account. How you want to base off your teams is you basically want as many players as you can winning their quarterfinal match and going to the semifinals, because even if you lose the semifinals, you have the third place decider match where you can gain extra points there. And before we even go to the bracket, with Vitality being the heavy favorites, I think you kind of want to avoid them a little bit in this event. So maybe the third place decider match might be better for your players, because then they won't have to face Vitality, who, to no one's surprise, will be the favorites. And they will probably destroy anyone in the grand final. I think if they make it to the grand final, I think they sweep either 3-0 or 3-1. That's how good they've been so far. And I think a third place decider match at least gives some of the other teams a chance to at least put up a good rating and get some positive points rather than putting a negative rating against Vitality and getting some negative points, obviously. I think how they can fix this is by giving higher value to teams that make it to the grand final over the third place decider match. And yeah, because then that will be targeting more of the third place decider match with how dominant Vitality has been. But I digress. In the upper side of the bracket, Falcons versus Pure Vision. Winner of that will face either Mouse or Navi. And then Vitality and Aurora will face the winner of Fury and Mongols. Really quickly, Falcons heavy favorites against Pure Vision. Falcons 3-0 in group stage. Pure Vision, we haven't seen them on stage yet. They haven't been shooting as hard. I think teams have figured them out a little bit. So Falcons will be winning that, in my opinion. Mouse versus Navi, I think this is the closest matchup, but not because Navi are that great, or because historically Mouse or Navi historically has a good chance against Mouse. Actually, Mouse has probably looked better. Has looked better. I think Mouse has the historical matchup as well. I think they even beat Navi in this event as well, pretty convincingly. And Mouse has been beating Navi for a while now. I just think what gives Navi somewhat of a chance is, again, the home crowd. The home crowd will be backing Aimee, and Mouse might be the least popular team here on the playoffs. I think Paravision might even have more fans with James than Mouse in total. So they'll be heavy anti-favorites for the crowd. The crowd might even start booing them, honestly. So I think that's why Navi have a chance here. But if we're thinking like the team in general, how they've been playing, I think Mouse should win this. So I'll have Mouse winning that. They'll face Falcon in the semifinals. And I think Falcons will win the semifinals, especially if Kyusuke, Monasi, and Nico are in the server. They'll be fine. They'll get to the grand final. Mouse will go into the third place match. On the lower side, Vitality Aurora. Vitality should win this easily, 2-0. Not been impressed by Aurora at all. I think this is their ceiling, making playoffs and then bombing out. Aurora is kind of a weakness for Vitality when facing them. They do struggle a little bit against them, but I think Vitality are another level now that they shouldn't do so on stage, and they should win that quite comfortably. Fury versus Mongols. I guess this is the other game that could go for the underdog. Fury have not looked great, but then they can also turn it up in the playoffs. Mongols had looked quite strong in the group stage, with even taking the map off Vitality, which is good to see. Yeah, I think I could go. I think Furia are the favorites, and Furia should win. And I think Mongols are still too early. They still need to get used with Cobra Serra. This might be even Cobra Serra's first match on stage, so we don't know how that's gonna affect them. So I have Furia winning that. They'll face Vitality. We've seen this matchup many times last year, even this year as well in the grand final. But I think Vitality will win that, and they will face Falcons in the grand final. Vitality should win the grand final. Furia will then face Mouse in the third place decider match, and I have Furia winning that as well. So I guess first place Vitality, second place Falcons, and then Furia third place. But teams that you want to pick into, heavy pick into Falcons, Vitality as heavy favorites. Furia will be in a lower tier from that. Mouse a lower tier from that because their matchup is more 50-50. And if you want to go any underdogs, look into Navi or look into Mouse. Mongols, I mean, for underdog picks for your fantasy. So let's look at the most picked players now, and you can see people are backing Vitality, people are backing Falcons. The only player missing from Vitality is Messi. The only player missing from Falcons is m0NESY, who's one of the higher price players in this event. So you can see even Apex with 5,497 picks. He has over like 60% of pick rate. So we seeing the meta or the template start forming. It's gonna be Vitality. It's gonna be Falcons for most people. So looking at the players individually, we'll start off with Vitality. This is how they did in group stage. Cywood doing Cywood things. flamesy keeping his strong play so far this season. And then Messi did quite poor for his price or how his standard has been. Robs did definitely horrible for how he should be doing with only a 1 rating. Meanwhile, Apex overperformed, which is great to see. And the pricing kind of shows that we've seen that now flamesy is higher priced than Robs. And that makes sense because of how flamesy has started the year and how Robs has done so far so poorly. I think best value is definitely Cywu. I think what you need to have your team based out of, you need to have Apex. I think Apex is your building block. 188, that's really cheap. If we expect Vitality to basically sweep the playoffs, he'll definitely have to be in your team in order to do so. Robs and m0NESY, while they haven't been great so far to start the year, I think all 5 players are options. I think Robs can turn it up in playoffs. m0NESY can also turn it up in playoffs. We've seen this team have different players step up. Cywu is the only consistent, but if you pick Cywu, you have to basically budget your team a lot more, and you kind of want to have better players from the better teams in order to have as much chance as possible to gain points. So I think while Cywu is the best value, you do take a risk there with that budget. For Furia, this is the rating so far. Only Moldo and Caserado are performing to their standard. Jakindar's been mid, and then Fallen, and especially Yuri, doing quite poor. Price-wise, I think you can pick into them. I think you can't. What I mean is because they're too highly priced for the ratings they have put up so far. For example, I think Caserado and Moldo are probably the 2 better options, in my opinion. Otherwise, Jakindar's not bad at 212, but again, they're just too overpriced. They're facing Vitality in the semifinals. I just don't see a place where they become value, so I wouldn't pick into them. But if you want to, you definitely have to pick 1 and 2, Casera or Moldoy, if you actually truly believe in Furia for this event. For Falcons, here are the ratings. So m0NESY and Kyusuke in the 1.30s. Nico dealing strongly with a 1.15. Tesla kicks in under a 1 rating. Pricing wise and value wise, Tesla and Kickstart are not bad. at those prices. If you want a cheaper under 190k option, look into Tesla and Kickstone. I think Tesla is definitely better just because he has higher upside than Kickstone, but Kickstone is more consistent with what he's done so far. Nico, I think, is one of the best value in general for the whole event. I think he's starting to get comfortable in his positions, and we starting to see a little bit of prime Nico come back now. And then between the golds of Mondesi or Kyusuke, I'd rather go Kyusuke for 8k less. He's shown as much upside as Mondesi. Mondesi might be better on stage and so early on in Kyusuke's career, but I think Kyusuke will do quite well here. Mouse next, and then here are the ratings. So everyone in the green, which is good to see. Overperformance definitely from Brolin. A little bit of an underperformance from Spanx. And when you look at the pricing, I think Spanx too overpriced in my opinion. I just don't think he'll be worth it for that price. When I look at Surgeon as well, a little bit overpriced. I think if I had to pick either or, I'd rather go pay up a little bit more for Spanx than go with Surgeon. But honestly, I would skip on both because I'd rather go with Brolin, Torchi, or Jim Hat. All under 200k, with Brolin being even 184. All have high, like basically Mouse is a team that all 5 of them can pop off. Brolin less likely to, but I think it's a team that, you know, any of them can step up to basically carry them. So look into Torchi and Jim Hat, in my opinion, with Brolin as a cheaper player as well. For Paravision, these are the ratings. Only Jame in the green, and Belchanak and Noda in the red. And the pricing wise, I just wouldn't pick it to Paravision. Falcons' first matchup is tough. The only player I would pick into is Sway at 187 because he seems to be first or second in this team rating wise. So he does quite consistent there. Belchanak, while he's cheaper, he's just kind of support there. He's kind of like just a support player. Honestly, he doesn't have any upside. So yeah, Sway only from Paravision. From Navi, here are the ratings. Bit did really strong. Ema as well with a 1.12. Makasin wonderful, threading under in the 1's ratings. And then Alexi obviously with his 0.92. And with the pricing, you have to pick Ema, you have to pick Bit. I think they've been consistently the 1 and 2 for Navi so far. I think Wonderful is too inconsistent. I think Makase is too early on in his career to pick into for these staged games. I don't mind Alexia 175 either. He's really cheap. If he wins, you know, he could go close to a 1 rating. I just think it's fine at 175 to pick as like a 5th option that if he loses, you don't really care much about. For Mongols, here are the ratings. Cobra Sarah at 910 doing really strong with in the 110s. Misinho as well with a 1.08. And then Techno and Bliss under a 1 rating. And when we look at the pricing, I think the only option you can go with is 910 in my opinion. He is good value, and he's been consistently Mongols' best or second best player. I think it's too early on for Cobra Sarah. We still haven't seen him on stage and how he'll perform there. So I'd be a little bit wary on that. Misinho as well, I'm not too impressed by him. He has some really high highs and then he just stinks it up the next game. So I'm not too comfortable at 195. I think Blitz and Techno are fine. Those would be probably my second and third choice, to be honest. I would have higher rating on Techno, just because he's a little bit more freed up in his roles. He has better role activation as well. He has better roles in general. And then finally, Aurora. These are the ratings. So Santaris and Waxit doing quite strong. Wikidia also 1.1 as well. Soulfly, everyone in the greens except for Major. So this is telling me they've been doing really good. but I will tell you right now, that's not the case. I think they got in a little bit lucky with their matchups, and when they win, they blow out some teams, and then when they lose, they don't lose too badly. I just don't know. I just don't see them beating Vitality. Um, the only values that I would say is you can only go for Voxix or Soulfly. If you want to take a chance on them, go ahead and do so. I would not spend up on Santaris, even though he's also good value, because 2K for someone that's facing Vitality first round and will probably lose is not great. But KD as well is too expensive in my opinion. And then Major, just completely skip on, because once they lose against Vitality, he's gonna be a negative minus 32 points or something crazy. I just can't see it happening as well for that. But enough talking. Let's look at the players. So here is my differential team. So I have 3 teams set up today. Here's my differential team, and this is playing into, not my. This is more my heart speaking and what I want to happen, and probably what the crowd at Romania, at Cluj-Napoca want to happen as well. So going with double up with Apex and Messi for Vitality, with Nico as my 5th option. But going double up on Navi with Bit and Ime. If Navi do make a run here, it'll be because of them. And you know what? They'll be the crowd favorites for sure. Yeah. And if they do beat Mouse, that'll be a big differential in my opinion. But I think it's a little bit risky. I don't know. I feel like we're spending up too much on Navi, spending on Vitality for what really what should happen is that Mouse should beat Navi, because all signs point to it other than the crowd advantage, basically. But if you want to go differential, pick this team. This could be a 1% team, to be honest, because I don't see many people picking Navi, in my opinion. This other team is basically, I'll show you. This other team, which has double up on Falcons with Nico and Kyusuke, double up on Vitality with Robs and Apex, and then Alex CB as my 5th. It's basically, we're basically going all in on Falcons and Vitality, going all in on them making the semifinals, going all in on them putting up good ratings. I think Kyusuke is one of the best value players, I think, other than Saiwu in this event. And having him will be good because, he'll basically farm some of the easier matchups, and then you just hope that if they do get to the grand finals and face Vitality, they don't do too poorly, or they can farm that 3rd place decider match. And Alexi B as well. If he wins against Mouse, could be good. Honestly, if he loses, it might be even better, because then he doesn't have to face Falcons, doesn't have to face Furia in the 3rd place decider match. So it might be better in general for him to lose early on. Not too badly though, not losing with too low a rating. And just relying on my Falcons, Furia, and Vitality stack to do most of the work, the heavy lifting here. So I'm right now 45% into this lineup. I quite like it just because I have Kyosuke in there, and I do want to fit him into one of my teams. But this is my current lineup, and I think this is the safer lineup with not the most upside, but definitely the highest floor. And this will be it. So again, double Vitality with Apex and Robs. Nico's my 5th. I do like Nico a lot, and I do like Apex a lot, so I'll have them basically in all my teams. I want to have them both in all my teams. But now we double up on Mouse, and so instead of Navi, we're doubling up with Torshi and Jim Hat. And you know what? It should be strong. I mean, Torshi, I've been impressed with Torshi. I've been impressed with Jim Hat so far in this event. To start the year as well, they've been solid enough. They've been in the 1.1, 1.04, 1.05. So they should do good enough here. If Mouse as a team, how they started off the year, beating everyone but Vitality, they shouldn't beat Navi easily. Again, I have my doubts with the home crowd, But this is in every like if it was let's say anywhere else, or yeah, like anywhere else that's not Romania, or anywhere else like in, for example, a studio event, I would have Mouse beating Navi easily. But just that back of my mind thinking maybe Navi do have that the upset potential that maybe they could beat Mouse, who is the least liked team in general. Maybe you could play against Navi, the home crowd advantage. But I just know there's gonna be some clutch that's gonna occur, and the crowd's gonna basically give Navi the information, whether there's a flank going on or something on those lines that might sway me towards, might sway the game towards Navi, for example, or might tilt the Mouse players because the home crowd is so heavily into Navi. But if they win, we have basically 5 players having 3 games, and that'll be strong in itself. So yeah, I'm like, basically this is my favorite team for right now. I'll give an update in the description. So in the description, I always put my team and the link to my team. So if anything changes, make sure to check the link in the description as close as possible to the event, so you'll see. But I think I'm gonna stick with this. I think I'm gonna stick with Mouse and Vitality double ups and Nicholas the fifth, because I think this probably has the highest floor and has a strong enough ceiling. But I am tempted by the Kyosuke lineup just because it's Kyosuke. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you want to post your teams as well, feel free to do so. And yeah, good luck, have fun, and see you for the next time.